In a kingdom ruled by priests and men, one woman rose to the throne and turned a celebration into judgment. This is the legend of Natixis. Some call it a myth, some call it justice. This story contains themes of political violence and revenge, but we will focus on the motives, consequences, and the blurred line between history and legend. Imagine a court where temple priests hold more sway than kings. In this realm, the throne is a stage for ritual and legitimacy. The high priest's word can crown or unmake a monarch. Natixis was born into that world a royal daughter whose life turned when a coup removed her. Brethren put her on the throne as a compromise ruler. For years, she wore the mask of a compliant queen, but behind the serene facade, a storm was gathering. Legend tells us Natixis spent years building a hidden space below the palace, a grand chamber whose existence was known only to a few trusted attendants. In silence, she prepared not for glory, but for a reckoning. She studied the flow of the river, the layout of the palace, and the loyalties of the men who drank and boasted at court. Each day was another step in a long, cold wait for the perfect moment. Then the invitations were sent, gilded, official, impossible to refuse. She invited every leading priest, magistrate, and noble who had a hand in her brother's downfall. It was to be a grand feast, a celebration of stability and the new order they had created. They came, drunk on triumph and entitlement, completely unaware that the meal had a second, secret purpose. The hall was filled with laughter and boasts, as the most powerful men in the kingdom toasted to their own success, all under the watchful, patient gaze of their queen. What happened that night is a story whispered in fragments. The chronicle versions differ. Some say the doors were sealed, and a sudden surge from the Nile flooded the hall. Others say a hidden channel, constructed in secret, carried the river's dark water into the chamber below. Poets later turned the event into a parable. Hubris swallowed by the same waters that sustain a kingdom. But in every version, the outcome is the same. The men who engineered the coup did not leave the hall alive. As dawn broke, Natixis walked out of the palace and was gone. The court erupted into chaos. Some claimed it was divine punishment. Others whispered of witchcraft. With the men who enforced priestly power gone, the palace fell into disarray. Natixis vanished from the public record. Did she flee into the desert, as some stories claim? Or did she perish by her own design, her purpose fulfilled? Over time, her tale folded into myth, the queen who used the Nile itself as a hand of judgment. Why does this story endure? It speaks to the fragility of power, to the cost of humiliation, and to the hunger for poetic justice in a world where official channels often fail. Natixis becomes a symbol, a woman denied agency, who reclaimed it in the only way the story permits. But the legend also carries a warning. Revenge reshapes the avenger. The triumphant can face the same emptiness as the vanquished. Legend or history, Natixis' story forces a question. Does vengeance restore justice? Or does it only perpetuate violence? Was she a monster, a strategist, or a tragic figure? Tell us where you stand in the comments. Justice, revenge, or tragedy? Subscribe for more untold stories that blur the line between myth and memory.